Welcome, everyone. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice President Valentine.
Here.
Trustee Headland.
Here.
Trustee Clemenson.
Here.
Trustee McNow.
Here.
Great. The approval of the agenda.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves the agenda as written.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great.
Yeah, one down.
Too bad. So welcome again. This is the Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 Haldane Board of Education business meeting. The next meeting of the Haldane Board of Education is a workshop scheduled for Tuesday, October 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the middle school, high school library, right here in the Haldane Central School District, which we know where it is. Good. Peggy Clemens, our president, is traveling, so I'm filling in for her, and we will muddle through. Dr. Benante.
Do better than muddle. Thank you, Ms. Valentine. I just have a few updates for the board. First, thanks to our principals and teachers and also our family members for attending our recent curriculum nights. Had the opportunity to attend both the elementary and middle school session. Saw some of you there, and it was a good opportunity to connect with our families and also speak a little bit to the campus planning process. Earlier this week, I had the opportunity to meet with Maria Stein-Morrison, who is the director of the Manitou School. You may have read about the state law, which requires local school districts, public schools, to determine for any, go through a process with any independent or religious school that is in its attendance zone or other private school that's in its attendance zone to determine that its program is substantially equivalent to the education that a student would receive in the public school setting. And because we have Manitou in close proximity to our school, we do have to go through this process with Manitou over the course of the next year. So Maria and I were in communication. I think we have a good plan in place moving forward. I would say, relatively speaking, this impacts us minimally as compared to other districts. And there's some districts that have upwards over 100 private schools in their attendance zone. So we do not. We have one independent school. So not as significant a lift for us as for others, but something that's definitely, because of the range, if you will, you're going to be reading a lot about, I would anticipate, over the next few months, if not over the next school year. I also just wanted to bring to the board's attention, I'm aware of the recent article that was in LOHUD regarding assessed home values in our community. Peggy and I had an opportunity just to connect on that. I did want to clarify that home valuations in the community have really just an indirect impact on school districts. The amount of money we levy is determined by the board through the budget process each year. Home valuation shifting, or assessments shifting, I should say, don't impact the amount of money we levy. It impacts how much someone may be paying in to that levy. So an indirect influence on our schools. I don't plan to attend the forum that's being held in the coming days, or next week, I believe. But if any members of the board were to, as citizens or community members, perhaps we can talk about it as part of board reflections in the weeks ahead. And thanks to all who were part of our homecoming celebration, student athletes, faculty, staff, administration. It was really a great event. Unfortunately, the rain led to the cancellation of some of the other games that were scheduled to occur over the course of the weekend. But our football game did occur on Friday night under the lights. Football had a great win against a really tough Tuckahoe team. As we know, we'll see them again in sectional play. It should be a great game. But it was a fun community event, parade. A lot of folks here at the field, cotton candy being served, a lot of cotton candy, and just a great venue for our community to connect with one another. That is all I have to report, unless there's any questions.
Nope.
That brings us to our first communication from the public. The Haldane Board of Education desires and values input from the entire school community. This first public comment session is reserved for comments on any special presentations or active agenda items, which we don't have a lot of this evening. For those who wish to address the board, please sign in and state your name for the record. Please keep your remarks to 3 minutes or less. Disparaging remarks and discussion of district personnel are strongly discouraged. Although we don't engage in dialogue, we are listening. Please leave your contact information with our district clerk, Megan Shields, for prompt follow-up from the board, president, or superintendent. No communication from public. Okay, information reports. They are here for your review. And that brings us to consent agenda minutes. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Okay, great. Consent agenda financial. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
As I'm reading. Any opposed? Okay. Consent agenda personnel. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Yep.
If I may, I just wanted to draw the board's attention to item 12, which is a consultant service agreement with Tim Walsh. Tim, as our former Director of Facilities and Transportation, has agreed to serve in an advisorship or mentorship role for Adam McNeil, our new Director of Transportation and Facilities. Tim's happy to help, and we organize the arrangement in a way that allows Tim, obviously, to attend to his responsibilities during the school day, provide support to Adam after school hours in a manner that works for him and his school district and also works for us.
It's nice to have him back.
Yeah.
Anything else? No. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Unfinished business. So we have our first item here is the approval of the Board of Education goals, which we worked on last time and then Peggy solidified. May I have a
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby adopts the Board of Education goals for the 2023-2024 as presented.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I should probably read them. That might be good.
That's good.
So, right? Throw them out there before they go. So we have 4 this year. So the first one is collaborate with the superintendent to finalize the campus master plan draft, finalize the components of Project 1, which is the first piece, and determine if and when Project 1 should be presented to the community for vote with special attention throughout to community engagement and education. Our second goal is monitor the work of the People Personnel Services Department as it develops long-term plans for program improvements and engages in near-term actions. Third goal, develop new processes and practices for building visitation with the goal of developing opportunities for observing educational programs and connecting with district staff. And our last one is create and adopt a new board member orientation manual and related processes to facilitate information transfer, promote consistency, and maintain a highly effective body. Any discussion for that? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good. Then we have the approval of the campus master plan. Right? Okay.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves the campus master plan as presented by CS Arch at the June 20, 2023 Board of Education meeting.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So Peggy's not here, but she emailed me a statement that she would like me to read, so I'm going to throw that in there. So in the words of Peggy Clemens, while I'm not able to be there tonight to vote on the campus master plan, I want to express my support for it and my appreciation for the important work that the campus master planning committee engaged in to develop it. The plan reflects community priorities, including the need for additional education space, providing for the safety and security of our students and staff, and creating spaces to support student wellness. The plan also addresses a critical goal of improving accessibility to meet requirements of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. She's sorry that she can't be here tonight.
Great.
Anyone else?
Just clarification for people at home that we're approving a plan, and as presented, not the plan,
Right.
not
Correct.
action,
Yes.
Yeah.
the plan.
Yes. I was going to reiterate that as well. I've been approached by a few community members who are concerned about the potential tax implications of such a large capital project, which is understandable given that our district is funded namely by taxpayers. But again, this
By
is
local taxpayers, by us.
by us, right? So, the board voting this campus master plan into formal existence tonight is not a concrete call to action to start any capital work right now. No work relating to this master plan will start until district voters, community members vote for it to happen. So that said, voting it in, it solidifies the planning work that's already been done by architecture firm CS Arch, Haldane faculty, Haldane staff, Haldane students, and community members. It's sort of a living document, if you will, a plan that, the district and the board may or may not choose to follow in the future when it comes to enhancing and perhaps expanding our campus. So.
I was gonna say that over the weekend, I was doing a little cleaning around the house, and among the things that I discovered was the survey, the community survey that we did, and all the responses to it. And I leafed through it, and it reminded me of how long the process actually has been and how much feedback that we have been getting from individual community members as well as the folks who've given their time to help support us throughout that process, and that it accurately represents many stakeholders in the community where it stands. And no matter what we do with it as an instrument, I feel like it really does, I think, exemplify all the hard work that a lot of folks have put into bringing it into being. So.
Just as a neutral third party, I would like to thank Sean and Maggie for your active participation in the committee. I'm sure Peggy would do that if she were here. So I'll take that role. Yep. And reiterate, I was thinking about the same sort of thing as like, how do you paint the picture? This is the vision for what the campus could be. We're adopting the vision, and then as per the goal that we just adopted earlier, it's like, okay, what's actually in piece one, and if and when should we do that? What are the tax implications? What are the space implications? That's the next step. So good.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. New business. Turf field.
If I can,
Yep.
we are at a point in our work where the turf field, which we've benefited from utilizing extensively over the last 10 to 11 years or so, is due to be replaced, and we have to take that into consideration for our current campus planning. So Catherine is here this evening to talk a little bit about the financing of that, and Tom is here to talk a little bit about the vendors that he's been in touch with to discuss the process for determining a vendor to actually move forward with the work, which we would anticipate would take place next summer. So Catherine and Tom, if you just want to share your respective views and information on this, and the board may have some questions for you.
I'll start if that's
Yeah, go
okay.
ahead.
Okay. As you all know, we've been putting money aside since the first turf field was put in. We have been putting it into an account that's called a capital repair fund. Unfortunately, we cannot repair our turf. We have to completely replace our turf. So we're not able to use the funds directly out of that repair reserve. That being said, what we need to do, because that is unexpended funds in our capital repair reserve, we are able to, with board authorization, do a transfer from our capital repair fund to our capital fund. When we are able to do that, and we have the money already set aside, I mean, Tom will talk to you about costs, but we have over $900,000 in the repair reserve. We can transfer the exact amount that we need with board approval over to the capital fund. The only thing about using the capital fund is it requires voter approval. So we will have to put it on the ballot for our May vote. We'll be very clear with what we need to do, that we're saying we have the money. We're going to spend money that has already been saved for it. There's no tax implication. There's no bond issue that will happen. So completely tax neutral for our voters, but it will have to go before our voters on the May vote. And we'll say to them, we're just asking for permission to use the funds that we've been saving for the last 10, 11 years to replace our turf. Okay.
Great.
Tom, you want to talk a little bit about what you've learned from the vendors with whom you've met?
Sure. So
basically this summer, I spent some time, there's 3 companies that you deal with. The first one I met with was Shaw Sports Turf. The second company was A-Turf, and then the third company is Field Turf, which is their main name is Shenango Contracting Inc. / Field Turf, so that's kind of their specialty. So each one of the, I met with them probably for, quite a bit of time when they came here. So, what happens is they run through your different, you can get different fiber heights. So they give you all that information, infill. So they kind of run through everything with you. So when they give you a price, they pretty much give you some choices you can go off. You have your top end, kind of your middle of the road, and then kind of the average, basic turf setup. So I have all those prices from them. I think the next steps would be, obviously getting some more people involved in the process of determining, what do we want to go with for the field. I think involving coaches, obviously Adam, Director of Facilities, and just kind of trying to figure out what type of field turf, what kind of turf we want to go with. One company did offer a price discount if you recycle what you currently have. So it's kind of something I just wanted to kind of, feel to all of you that that's an option out there. I know a lot of people, not all companies do that. That was Field Turf that did that. And they do make an emphasis of, they properly dispose of anything that they remove. Some companies, basically it would take the summer to complete the project if we started right at the end of June. Like I said today in a meeting, we're a little bit ahead of the game right now, which is good. I think, previously when I was on a project last year, the goal was to get everything in by February, all your designs and all that stuff. And if you do that, you're ready to go in June. So just basically that's where I'm at right now.
Great.
And Tom, can you just provide a perspective on the range of costs?
Sure.
You don't have to give the exact figures, but just what we can anticipate the cost falling within.
It was below 800,000. So,
Okay.
And the lowest was between 650 and about 790.
Okay.
Again, like I said before, there's the categories of levels and fibers and, what particular, top end, middle of the road type thing. So that's how it's priced out.
And I know, not crazy detail, but can you speak a little bit to sort of how you'll determine not the ingredients, but the makeup of the turf, right? Because I know we have people that ask about the environmental impact of the old turf field. So has that changed a little bit? Will that go into consideration when thinking about which one you guys choose?
I think so. I mean, that's like me, it's just me right now. So I'd like to get other input from people to see, how we want to move forward with that and what would be best for, as you know, we have a unique situation down there. It's a turf field with a turf track. I was part of the original project, and the reason why we did that is because we sold it to the community that this is a great opportunity for the community to use it, as well as phys ed programs, to include that track area. So I think that's what makes it a unique project. And everybody that came in to meet said, no, that's no problem to take care of any of those things. But as I kind of got off a little bit on that. But like I said, meeting with a group of people, determining what we want to do, heights and fiber types, that's all got to be a group effort. Tom, real quick, what was on the original turf field, what was the vendor's expectation of use? How many years we would have got on it? Did we get that amount of years out of it? 8 to 12. 8 to 12. All right. So Pretty right. much So we're right. standard. They give you an 8-year warranty, Yeah, of course. so it's 8 to 12, and we hit 10. Right.
Was
So.
one of these guys the one we used on the original?
Yeah, it's funny. Shaw
Okay.
was one of them, but they weren't called Shaw at the time. They were working with a subcontractor. Then they bought them out, and then they just formed the Shaw company.
And the ones for this round, it is also expected to be up to 8 to 12 years.
Yes. Yep.
And just for folks that haven't been part of the conversation or haven't watched it, can you remind us about how this money had been set aside in one way or another, kind of just for this project?
So at the end of the school year, as we enter August, usually the board, where the administration is presenting to the board any remaining fund balance and making recommendations on where that fund balance should be allocated. Some time ago, we began to put those funds in the repair reserve, which is something that we've continued to do. And I know when I arrived, that was it was well known among some of the board members at that time, as well as in our business office, that, well, this is money we're putting aside and have been putting aside because the balance has grown considerably for the one-day need to replace the turf. The only shift we should have made, or maybe question at that point, we probably should have been putting it in the capital reserve, assuming we had one, because voters actually had to authorize the creation of a capital reserve. So we may not have had one at one point in time, subsequently decided to create it, and that's where the money should be in order to fund this project, which again, voters have to approve the creation of a capital reserve, and then they also have to approve the subsequent expenditure of any funds from that reserve.
Thank you.
So we're in a good place. I
Yeah.
shared with Catherine today. I said I'm not used to being in a position where a turf field could be replaced with money that we actually have. Two turf fields that I've worked on in my past, and both we needed money to do that. We didn't have it in our savings. So the district and previous boards, the existing board, previous business office superintendent, and business managers have been prudent in putting the money aside.
Great. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
CSE, CPSE recommendations.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves the recommendations of the Committees on Special Education and Preschool Special Education as presented.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approval of charges to district committees.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby reauthorizes the charges to the following district committees for 2023-2024: Code of Conduct, Technology, and Wellness.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Designation of board education members to district committees, 2023-2024.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby designates the Board of Education representatives to the district committees for the 2023-2024 school year as presented.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We're number 5, right? Approval of members of district committees, 2023-2024.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves the member lists for the following district committees for the 2023-2024: Code of Conduct, Technology, Wellness, and district-wide safety team as well.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. This brings us to our second communication session from the public. Anyone? Okay. That's quick. Board reflections.
Wow. Well, I'd like to thank Vice President Valentine for stepping in this evening and getting us in and out in record time. That's kind to everyone. And also, just say that, you know, as so many teachers and students are sort of dealing with illness right now, it seems like in the elementary school, like everybody's going at just everyone. I'm going to be school marmish and say, remember to wash your hands and and take care of yourselves and sleep. I think that would be good for everyone so that we can get through the next couple of weeks, because it seems like once we get that hump, we'll be back into it. So.
I'd like to make couple quick points. Again, we got forwarded, the kudos from the Department of Education, both New York and the U.S., about the board of the Blue Ribbon designation for the high school. So obviously that goes out to the high school team, and that's incredible stuff. I mean, that's really amazing. And then I just wanted to say that the middle school back to school night and their new format, I thought worked actually quite well. Okay? So I appreciate it.
Homecoming was fun. We had there was a parade on Main Street organized by, I believe, Haldane High School staff, and it had some of the youth sports organizations. And that was fun and amazing, and the football game was amazing. But a shout out to the music staff at Haldane. For Jessica Stein led the band up Main Street, and they sounded really good. And then Sam Sauer, our choral director, led I don't know if it was the Blue Notes, but it was a group of kids saying the national anthem, and it was so hard to hear, right, depending on where you were. And then at the end, like, everyone got silent and you heard the last few notes, and it was very moving. So a shout out to the music staff. Not an easy job, I don't think. So, Dr. Benante?
Yeah, just two quick updates that unfortunately, I forgot to mention during the earlier part of the meeting. I wanted to just mention to the board the Climate Smart Phillipstown. You received an email, if you haven't checked your email yet, regarding a desire to engage in a grant writing or consideration of a grant to accelerate our transition to electric vehicles. I will be meeting with them. I believe Peggy's going to attend that meeting next week just to talk about the grant, talk about our long-term goals, and a reminder that Project One does include the infrastructure upgrades that would be necessary to transition our fleet to electric starting in 2027, and we'll see what opportunities there are through a grant process. Also, Dr. Cation and PCG went through the special education audit at our last meeting. There was a request by a community member to release the audit. We do plan to do so tomorrow. We obtained a pretty thorough executive summary from PCG, so we have that, but we also have the full audit. We're going to release both, post them on our district website, and issue a communication to the community to draw their attention that if you want to do the deep dive, you can. If you just want, I wouldn't call the executive summary a shallow dive by any means. It's a pretty extensive executive summary as well. That's there as well, just for interested parties. So the community will receive a notification on that tomorrow.
Great.
That's all I have.
All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Good job. There we
Any
go.
opposed?
Thank
All right,
you.
good.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
was